This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust you'll consider this like your vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review. I want to begin today by saying, as I've been talking about leadership, goal setting, and productivity, I have just created something where you can get on my calendar for a 30-minute power talk where maybe together I can help you with some leadership issues, how to set goals, how to beat procrastination or productivity, and just to maybe listen and offer a little bit of advice to you. I'd love to talk to you, so get on my calendar. Go to drronblake.com/call. And then when you get it scheduled on my calendar, I'll give you a 30-minute call and we'll just talk about where you are in life and if there's some way I can come alongside and be a help to you. Again, drronblake.com/call. Today I want to speak about the leader and disappointment. Everyone's going to be disappointed. I think the other side of that coin that's very interesting is all of us will disappoint people as well. Disappointment comes in every area of our life, our family relationships, work, our friends, just nearly every area of life there will be setbacks, heartache, and disappointment. But there's no one who will experience that more often perhaps and more deeply than someone who is leading something. And if you're in leadership, you're going to feel this all of the time. I have about 7 things that you need to do, I think you need to consider when you're going through a time of disappointment. The very first thing is to yourself and to God, admit you're disappointed. Admit that you're hurt. Admit that you're in a hard place. One of the things that can happen in the leader's life is that when you're the leader, you're supposed to never let anything bother. You're supposed to be the one who keeps soldiering on, keeps moving ahead. You can't really deal with disappointment, handle disappointment, learn from disappointment if you're unwilling or unable to admit it. Go ahead, admit it. There are people somewhere in the world that are admitting you've disappointed them, so I am sure you have disappointed. Now, here's what I want to say to you. You can't get to the point where you wallow in it and you live in it and you just sort of soak it up. When I'm saying admit the feelings you have, admit that the circumstance went south, didn't turn out the way you wanted it to turn out. Just go ahead and admit that's what you can't deal with anything in life if you don't own it and admit that something happened. I think the next thing you need to do, number 2, is take a deep breath and take a step back. Don't react. Don't become reactionary. Take a step back. There is a learning situation from it. In every disappointment, there will be something that happens. I think it was Henry David Thoreau who said, if we will be quiet and ready enough, we shall find compensation in every disappointment. You just have to take a step back. It gives you that all-important perspective. You have to get perspective. You know that I often say you have to distinguish between a problem and a fact of life. And sometimes your disappointment is in regard to a problem that you do need to work on some element of solving it. But a lot of the disappointments just happen because of facts of life. An event took place, something happened, you cannot change it. It is the way it is. It's done, it's over, and you just have to accept it, give it over to God, and move on. But take a step back, take a deep breath. Don't make rash decisions. What can you do right now? Take a breath, figure out some next steps, figure out that you're going to continue to move forward. You're not going to do anything rash and then create all sorts of unintended decisions and consequences for yourself. The third observation that I want to make about disappointment is most of the time it's unintended. Oftentimes, when I have disappointed and hurt people, in spite of what they may think, I did not get out of bed that day to say, what can I do to disappoint them and what can I do to hurt them? It was unintended. It was not the intention. So as you're in this process of taking a step back and taking a deep breath and evaluating where you are, talking yourself down so that you don't do something harsh or rash or something that will only make it worse. Just remember that more than likely, no one intended to hurt you. No one's goal was to disappoint you. They may have had a different viewpoint, a different idea of what needed to be done. Now, there are times when it is intentional, and there we'll just have to move to some of the next steps. But remember, when you're human, these things are going to happen. They will continue to happen. And might I give you this nugget of encouragement, it will not be the last time you will be disappointed. I think one of the greatest signs of maturity is how well we handle disappointment. So remember, most of the time it's unintended. If it was an intentional hurt, an intentional slight, then keep moving with me through the next 4 items. Item number 4, when I'm facing a disappointment that I need to do, I need to ask myself, what can I learn from this situation? There are lots of things we can learn. I think we have the tendency to think we contribute little to anything to the difficulties and problems that we face. So you have to stop and make this a learning moment. If I had it to do over again, would I have done something different? Can I apply what I have learned from this situation to situations going forward? The fifth thing that I want to say in the area of dealing with disappointment, especially as a leader, is not so much something you can do, it's something you have to accept. It is inevitable. If you're a member of the human race and you're seeking to live a life, it is inevitable that you are going to face disappointment. That doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make the sting hurt any less, but you need to understand that in reality, it is just inevitable. You can't be leading. You can't be in the throes of making decisions. You can't be working with people and not get disappointed. It is inevitable. I think under this area of it's inevitable, then let's look at a couple of the positive things that could come out of those disappointing moments, events, situations. I think it's through the disappointments of life that we become strengthened. We are strengthened internally. Don't let it make you become bitter. Don't let it make you withdraw. Receive strength. When we face things that are uncomfortable and face things that we really would rather not face, it gives us an internal strength. And so allow the disappointment to shape and to strengthen you. I think another thing, if we'll allow it and not allow ourselves to become embittered, it will make us more sensitive to the hurts and needs of people. I think you'll find out when you've gone through a few disappointments that it makes you much more empathetic and compassionate toward people in your family, your neighbors, your church, where you work, your business. It just makes you more tuned in to the hurts that people experience, because we're not the only ones who are disappointed. Everyone we are around has moments of disappointment. So it is inevitable. There is something to be learned. I think the sixth one would be keep moving. There is this tendency when our world gets rocked and things don't work out as we like it to, or whatever, just general disappointment, that we just can almost unconsciously slow down, stop, quit moving, give up, whatever language you want to use, and you just have to keep moving. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Now, when I say put your head down and keep going forward, I'm not meaning hang your head. I'm meaning that phrase in the sense of get determination and grit and just keep moving. And sometimes the only thing you can do when you're in pain and you're experiencing disappointment is just to keep moving forward. Eventually, the feelings will catch up with your action. The seventh and final one that I want to mention in how do you handle disappointment is somewhat like the first one, but with a slight difference. And that is, don't deny the feeling. Again, you have to admit it, but then don't deny the feeling. Oftentimes we want to rush past the feeling and say, well, I'm a mature adult. I'm the leader. I'm in charge. I'm the lady or man who runs this place. I shouldn't feel this way with disappointment. I should be farther down the road. Quit denying the feeling. I read a quote from someone one time that said, it's easier to forgive an enemy often than it is to forgive a friend. And I'm of the opinion that many of our disappointments do not come from people who don't love us, don't come from people who are continually fighting us. Oftentimes, the most bitter disappointments are delivered to us by the hands of our friends. And for whatever reason, the way that human beings are constructed, it is almost easier to forgive an enemy than it is to forgive a hurt from a friend. That's because we have deep-seated relationships. We feel that our family and friends should be looking out for our best interest and thinking about us and wanting to help us. And when they don't, it is just bitterly disappointed. So remember, leader, you are going to face times of disappointment. Just admit it. Always take a step back and evaluate where you are, understanding that much of the time it really wasn't intentional that we were disappointed. There are times when it is, but oftentimes it is not. Like nearly every experience we have, disappointment is a wonderful laboratory and school where we can learn something. Always remember it's inevitable. Please keep moving. Let this be a strengthening time that will make you more sensitive, and don't deny your feelings. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Hey, why don't you jump on and have a 30-minute call with me? Just go to drronblake.com/call, and we'll have a 30-minute power call. And if I can help you beat procrastination, become more productive, set goals, any leadership issues, wherever you are stuck in life, let's have a 30-minute conversation and see if there's a possibility that we can work together and I can come alongside of you and offer you some assistance. Again, you've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope that today this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, please subscribe and leave a brief review, and a rating would be so very, very helpful, enabling others to find it. Until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, leader, you are doing better than you think you are. And until next time, have a great and blessed day.